Okay, so welcome to this week's edition of Thursday 30. We've got Annie from Therapy Box here to talk about the Predictable app today. So Annie, I'm going to hand straight over to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'll just do a brief overview. If I'm going too fast at any point, feel free to let me know to slow down, or if there's anything in particular you wanted to know about, or any questions, I can answer as I go. So this is the main screen of Predictable. I don't know how familiar everyone is with it, so I'll just go through. The orange in the top right corner is the history. So after you speak, anything will go there so that you can repeat yourself and have easy access to that. The yellow in the top right is the favorites. So that will be one of your categories. So you can personalize that to be stuff that you want to access easily. The blue in the middle is your prediction strip. There are a few customizations you can make to that in settings, but mostly it's just going to predict the most likely words that you want to speak. Keyboard can also be customized. We've got a few options which I'll show in settings. And then the grey keys on the right of the message window and the blue keys at the bottom are called feature keys. We set you up with sort of a default set that we think are most useful. But in settings, you can completely customize these to whatever is most useful. And we have quite a long list of ones that you can pick from. So I'll go over those later as well. So yeah, it's that simple. You can click on the keyboard or on the prediction strip to pick words. And then once you speak, you can see it load into my history. The two bin icons, the double one is delete all, and the single one will delete each word. Down at the bottom, the one that looks like a grid will take you to our category view. So this is a personalized phrase bank, but we set you up with sort of some default phrases and categories to give you an idea of what you could do. Clicking into one will show you your phrases. Clicking back will take you back to the category view. As you speak, as you pick a phrase, it will load into the message window at the top, and the keys at the top are what you'll be used to in the keyboard view. So speak, delete all, and settings, and you can speak those as normal. The edit button will allow you to add categories, rearrange. Here will allow you to rearrange your categories, delete, and then scroll buttons. We do find that adding categories is better to help someone set up because you can't use our predictable keyboard to set it up, so you have to be able to use the device keyboard because there's a lot of typing and things like that. Yep, so that's a quick overview of the main screen. But I think the best thing about Predictable is probably all the settings and how much customization you can do. So I'll try and focus on that and get through as much as I can. We do have quite a lot of training videos on our website because I'm going to go through this quite quickly. So if you've got any more questions, you can always email us or check our website where there'll be some more information. So your account section has all the basics. If you find yourself stuck in something like scanning, which a lot of users accidentally find themselves stuck in and not know how to get out, restoring settings to default is the easiest way to completely get rid of that. Restoring your phrase bank to default can also help if you've accidentally added some things that you don't want. Forgot password, log out and delete account, standard account actions. It's worth noting that you can have two types of account on Predictable. You can have an offline account and an online account. Keeping your account offline will mean that everything's just saved to your device. So if that device breaks and you log in on another device with your account, you won't get any of your personalizations or history or settings or anything like that. You'll have to set them up. Whereas an online account, everything will be pushed to the cloud. So you can be comfortable that if you need to log in on another device, or if you want to use it on more than one device anyway, all the settings will carry over from one device to another. The cloud account is also really good because we have a web platform where you can go in and edit the account remotely. So if you have a client that lives a bit far away, or you don't see them very often, or they call you up and say, oh, I've got this problem, you can log in and change the settings remotely without having to go and have a visit, which is quite nice. And that link is available on our website. Going to speech, you can use any of the device voices, or we offer 4 voice banking services, so Acapella, Model Talker, Speak Unique, Voice Keeper. I think they're all the big ones. The speaking rate and speaking pitch will apply to any of these, so that can help you personalize the voice a bit more. Speak button behavior enables you to show or speak. So show, I will demonstrate. So it will replace your speak button with this, and instead of speaking, it will make it in large text upside down on your screen, so that you can show your communication partner the text in case it's loud, or you're saying that you want to say something discreetly, and you just question. Speak also might be helpful there. But these are quite self-explanatory, but can just help to speed up the communication if you know that you're always going to want the same behavior. So if you know you're always going to want to speak unspoken, it can save you the tap of deleting and things like this. We also have stop speak interruption at the bottom, where your speak button will turn into either a pause button or a stop button. So you can pause it if you think you're going to be able to return to your speech, or stop it, and then when you press play next time, it will start from the beginning. In this list, you can also add your message window as your speak button. So in case you have a lot of functions that you want to be available in feature keys and you don't want to waste the space for a speak, you can change it so that you simply click on the message window itself to speak. It can also be useful as it's quite a big target area if those feature keys are harder to reach and you're still using direct touch, or potentially for eye tracking or head tracking. We have some other options here, which again are quite self-explanatory, but are quite nice to sort of go through in your own time. So highlight as you speak will highlight each word as it's spoken. Speak after sentence, speak after space. Clear after speak is a really nice one, because you don't have to press the delete and you can clear up those feature keys, and anything you speak will still be in history. So if you do want to repeat yourself, you can click there. So that's probably the key one in this list, is clear after speak. Custom pronunciation enables you to add pronunciations for things that the text-to-speech engines might not get quite right. So it's especially useful for names if the accent you're using isn't picking it up quite right. So you can see the example here, cough, and then with the phonetic pronunciation typed in, and play sound will let you preview what that sound is like, so you can edit the phonetic pronunciation if it's not picking up quite right. And that will just happen automatically once you've added it there in the keyboard screen. Abbreviation allows you to add custom abbreviations, which will automatically be expanded in the message window if you type them and press space. So that can be quite nice if there's a few things that you always say, you can set these up, which can speed up your communication quite a lot. So that is speak. Accessibility is another key one. So we offer 6 access methods. So direct touch is just using your hands on the screen. There are 2 settings for this, which is time delay and force delay, which are quite similar, almost opposites. So time delay, you have to hold down a button for a certain duration before the action is triggered. So in case someone suffers with tremors or things like this, it can make sure that action is intentional. Force delay is sort of another way of dealing with the same thing. So once you tap it, the screen will freeze so that you can't tap anything else for another like couple of seconds. You can set the duration, and there will be a timer on screen to let you know when you can press something else. Screen tap is a scanning method where you touch the screen to select. So I'll quickly show that. You can edit the scanning rate and the scanning cycles. So it will just narrow down until you select the item that you want, and you press that cross to exit the scanning cycle. Switch access is the same, but obviously using an external switch for selection. You can also, by clicking manual, set up your switch for progression as well as selection. So that's useful. Head tracking obviously requires a suitable iPad. I think there's a list on our website of which iPads are compatible, but any newer generation iPad should work. You can adjust the head sensitivity and position here. Position is the only one that you really need to do, but it should work without. The good part of head tracking using the iPad is that there's not really much calibration required, and it's not so sensitive on light as things like eye tracking. So it's quite an easy learning curve to set up. So it will just track your head, and instead of eye tracking where you move your eyes, you'll almost sort of use your nose as a pointer on screen. And then you can use a selection method from our list. So hover is just dwell, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. So holding it in this particular spot for the set duration. And then we have other gestures which you can choose from. I find blink to be the most useful, but again, it's something that's quite nice to play around with and figure out what works. So that's head tracking. Eye tracking, you will need the iris Bontiro to use with predictable, or I guess now that iOS 17 has some more features for eye tracking, other eye trackers will probably work a bit better, but the iris Bontiro is the one that's integrated with predictable 6. So you press enable eye tracking, and as long as you have the correct device connected, it should start to work. The nice thing about using it with predictable 6 is that you can use our head tracking gestures as selection methods with eye tracking, which are quite nice if someone's using it for a long period of time, because your eyes can obviously get quite fatigued. So blink or frown sort of take a bit of that off, stress off of the user. Scan and track basically allows you to use a scanning method with those head tracking gestures as a selection method. So that's a very quick run through of all of the access methods. What else in accessibility is key? You can set up an email to send emails directly from Predictable. This doesn't work too well because it's reliant on the email servers themselves giving us access and restrictions that they have. So you can set up a share feature key, which uses the Apple share sheet, which can be a lot more useful if someone does have the dexterity to be able to use that share sheet. Then floor hold. This is one of the feature keys that we provide automatically. So there's automatic and manual floor hold. Manual means that you press the button and it will speak something at random from your floor hold phrases here. So something like, please wait a minute, I'm almost there, to just give you a bit of a buffer while you're creating your message. Automatic floor hold, if you turn that on, you can set a duration, and once you start typing, it will wait for that duration and then automatically speak that text out. And if you carry on typing for 15 more seconds, it will speak it out again. So that can even save you the tap of pressing the floor hold button for that sort of managing speech for a warning that you might take a while. Moving on to gesture speak. This is also only available for head tracking compatible devices. It allows you to create recipes of gestures. So say a set of 3 of blink, tongue out and frown. And you can choose for it to speak a phrase or perform an action, which is our list of feature keys. So say you wanted to just blink to speak, which might not be the best idea. You could set that up like this. And then if I try and get back into gameplay, I can show what I'm still interested. Okay, I've got head tracking turned on a load of other settings, but you would get a small square come up with the gesture shown, and then you could see that it was speaking. So that's another good one to play around with, and can be useful depending on how many gestures the client's able to perform. Theme and appearance is all of the sort of theme appearance-based settings. So if you are working with a more symbol-based client, you can set their home screen to be the phrase bank or grid view. So phrase bank is simply the grid view in the keyboard layout. So it gives you a bit more space for the message window and feature keys. And the grid view is what I showed earlier. You can pick from some pre-built themes. This is another good way of getting back to sort of the standard settings if something has gone awry and you're not quite sure what you've done. So standard is sort of our default setup, and classic is the PA5 setup, which some people are still like to use because they didn't like the change of PA6. When we transition to PA7, we'll have another version of that for PA6 as well, in case anyone's used to it. So these are sort of pre-made features that you can just sort of take out the box for particular clients, so they can be quite nice. Color and font size, global font, they're exactly what you would expect. Show hide feature key titles is quite nice if you've got someone who isn't quite so used to technology or is very new to predictable, because it simply adds a label under each button, so it's much easier to figure out what thing does what, and that's available here. Then show hide feature keys top screen, so the top screen is the ones next to the message window, the feature keys keyboard is the one that's on the bottom right corner, and you can pick to change to any of these. Let me pick a couple to show. Draft is quite nice. Yeah, I'll show draft, but you can change any of these here. Draft enables you to type a message, and then you can save the draft so that you can work on and speak. Work on and speak another message. And then when you're done with that, you can load your draft back. I accidentally did that the wrong way around. But you can see that it would bring back hi. So that's quite nice if you're working on a longer piece of content and you get disturbed and you want to speak in the middle of that. So that's a nice way of doing it without having to save it to a phrase, which is obviously another option. Yes, dexterity position will shift your feature keys to the left in case that's easier for you to access. Some word prediction settings you can turn, sort of the key ones are spell check, autocorrect, and also completion are what they say they are, but they can help a bit with crafting your message. You can reset your learning and manage your self-learned words here. And sort of another key one is to restrict or allow profanity. Keyboard has all of the keyboard options. So an ABC keyboard, a high frequency, a 10-key keyboard, and then you can use the Apple native keyboard if that's useful. And then this is also where you can set up an external keyboard. And you can also manage your emoji keyboard. So one of these feature keys in the bottom here is the emoji, which can bring the emoji keyboard. We've automatically coded a lot of these with sounds, sort of sound effects, which you can add, but you can customize those sound effects in this list here. So that's sort of just a fun feature that you can add on. Here is all of the features for the grid layout. So you can change the background color and font size of your phrases and categories, change the column and row number, and reset it to default. Make phone calls allows you to phone or FaceTime with Predictable. So in the same way as I think many other ASE apps, the text-to-speak voice will come out of their speakers, not yours, so it won't be muffled, it will be very clear. So yeah, you can trigger between phone and FaceTime here. Obviously, a phone will only be available on a mobile phone, so FaceTime if you're using an iPad. And you can manage the contacts below, so add some new contacts. And you can pick whether the call button should display the contact list or call your starred contact. So you can star one contact to automatically be called. So almost use it as sort of an emergency call situation, or if you know that your user's only going to want to call one particular person, that's quite nice instead of having the extra tap of the contact list. Multi-language is another key feature. You can pick between all of these languages and then use a feature key to toggle between those two languages on the go, so quite good if you're bilingual. Not in PA6, not all of these have not all of them have word prediction or full keyboards, but you can use the native ones. And in PA7 there will be more coming here, so a much more extensive list, and iOS have also released more default voices in different languages, so that opens us up to a lot more as well. Then support is how you can talk to us if you have any problems. And here is also a link for that web platform I was talking about earlier. We're always happy to answer emails, or you can book in for one-on-one training at any time. So that's always an option. And those training sessions can also be support sessions if you want to come with a user that's having some particular issues, or just advice on how to set up. So that's quite nice also. Does anyone have any questions? Because I've done a very, very fast run through, but I think I've tapped on everything.
Yeah, that was a very thorough run through of everything. Thank you, Annie. I don't know if anyone on the call wants to unmute themselves, or if you've got anything that you want to ask, to type it into the chat. No, I don't think we've got any questions coming through. I think you've done a really good job of explaining that all in 30 minutes. So I know it's a lot to go through, and as you said, you've got lots of training videos and things available on your website, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll send this recording out to people after the training finishes as well. Yeah, thank you very much, Annie. That was really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for joining. Vicky says she doesn't have any questions, but thank you for all the info.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much.